So here we are mounting the mBot robot. So as you see, I just put all the elements I need to mount the robot here. So we just have to follow very easily the instructions. We can have a look first about the part list that are all described here with all the names. So we start for the first part, as it says in the manual, it's motor assembly. Okay. First, following the instructions, we see we have to start from the motors. We see each diagram from the first page of assembly is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Very easy to follow. And then we see the motor that is installed in the chassis. We see the chassis that has a straight part going to here, the M here, and then we have a part that gets down through here. In the diagram, we see the straight part and the other part that gets to down. If we take one motor, we see that the side of the motor itself points to the straight side, and the gear points to the part that gets down. So if we follow exactly the instructions, we see that the motor has to go like this. In this way, the motor has a small tip that fits inside a hole that is near the part where the shaft of the motor gets out. In this way, the motor is fixed already. We just have to put two screws here that get also with the other parts. Okay, so we proceed to mount the screws, one top, one bottom, and we have to fit them with a screwdriver that is included also in the kit. So the screwdriver has two parts to screw the nuts. Well, we take from the part that is the start part. Okay, we get one of the nuts, we put to keep the motor and the screw, and then we just have to keep it with one of the finger, and then we screw it. So I do this one, and we keep this. We have to be sure that it's well aligned, and we proceed to adjust this one. Then we do the same with the other one, just at the bottom. It's a very small part, so we have to be careful, but it's fine. And we just proceed to adjust with a screwdriver. When we are finished, we just have to turn and see that the other motor has to be on the same position as opposite to it. Just fit the shaft output, and then that's it. And then we fix it also with the screws. So once we have the motors mounted, what we have to do, following again the instructions, is mount the wheels. The wheels have basically two parts, the internal and the external. We have just to mount them on this way. There's no possibility to do it another way. Just be sure that it's well tight, the rubber with the wheel, and then we have the first one. With the second, we proceed on the same way. We just fit the rubber with the wheel. So we check that it's well mounted. So once it's mounted, we just have to put each wheel with the motor. It is the same. Both wheels are exactly the same, so we just have to be sure that the wheel has a special part for the shaft. The shaft is not exactly rounded, it's flat for two sides, so it fits perfectly in the internal part of the wheel, and then it allows to move, the motor moves the wheel. So we have now just fixed this wheel. We still have to put the screw here, but we will put first the other wheel in the same way, and then just turn a bit until it fits into. We don't have to do a lot of strength to put the wheel, it's just easy to put. Now we put the little screws that are to keep the wheel inside. I mean, it's quite tight, the wheel with the shaft, but anyway, it's an extra security element that is nice to have. So we just screw and until it's well, then that's it. We do the same with the other wheel, and we put it this way, and then we have the main wheels already mounted as them should be, like that. Then we have to put the following sensor that are also with a small ball mounted here, and it's at the front part of the car, the robot. So to make it easy, what I suggest you is just pass through here the cables so they don't disturb you, and then we take the little wheel and two could-be screws, and before using these screws we have to turn the screwdriver. It's like an Allen, and we take also the sensor. So the sensor has three positions, as we see. In the manual it says it has to be on the middle, okay? So we take it on the middle like this. We put this here. As you see, the sensors are here, emitter and receiver, okay? So we put like here, and then while we're keeping with one of the hands, we take it one of the screws here, and we put the screw just on the hole of the sensor, if you can do it. Yeah, it looks like the okay. Now we put the second one. It's not very difficult actually, but just to enter into the little hole, that fits quite fine. Let me check. So we start with the first here. We adjust it. I think with the other, yeah. It's a bit moved over here, and then it took away. Okay. Now it's fine. Okay. Now it's perfect. We have mounted already the three wheels. If we put like on the right way, it's already mounted. So we now have to proceed to put the ultrasound sensor at the front. We take the ultrasound sensor and two other screws, also Allen screws. We check that we have to put down here at the two holes at the stem, and then also here at the top part of the front. So we take the screws, put on the holes, and then we put at the front. We try to keep it on place. Okay. We don't fit at the end because we have to put the other. This here, okay. And then we screw it into the place. We don't have to put it very tight. Just be careful and not breaking the PCB. Even the PCB looks very good as well. Now we have to put the spacers, 4 of them, at the top of the robot. So are these spacers. It's just with the hand, just screw it into the holes, and it is fine like this. We check, we put at the extremes, because these spacers are the ones that will keep the main board of the robot on its place. Also it keeps the space to put inside the batteries. So now it shows how to put the velcros, but my tip for you is don't put the velcro, because it fits so well enough that the battery is inside the robot, and if you don't put the velcro, it's very easy, if you need it, to take away the battery container, but by itself usually it doesn't get out. So my suggestion is you don't need to put the velcro, just keep it, and in case you see that it moves a lot, then you can use it. Okay, so the next step is just checking for to put in the right position the batteries. We see that already they put from the bottom part to the top the cables for the sensors. So the cables for the sensor, they look like a phone cable, you know what I mean? So you just have to put the cable. Just be careful that to connect the sensor, it should be in the way that you see the metal part of the connector. So the metal part of the connector that is at the bottom of the sensor should connect with the metal part of the main connector of the cable. So the metal part with the metal part at the bottom. I mean, you cannot do it another way, but just to make it straight, and then you listen the click, and this means that the sensor is connected. Okay, now we have to connect the same way the connector for the following line sensor. So we take the cable, we check where are the metal part that is just near the PCB of the sensor. Okay, we check also here the connector, the main connector, the metal parts are here in this side, so we put like this, and okay, so now it's connected. We pass the cable of the sensor, the following line sensor, through the hole, because then we will connect to the main control board. We pass also the cables for the motors through the hole. Okay, this hole is prepared already to do this maneuver, so it should be fine. This one, okay, that's fine, and then we pass the other motor. Don't worry if you don't know which connector is for which motor, because later on with the testing of the motors we will see if they are connected on the right place or we have to turn them to the other side. You will see later. Just pass the cables, and then we have all the cables here. To know where we have to put the cables in which side to connect with the main board, we check here that the motor cables are going to the, if we say like this, it is the left side, okay? So the cables of the motors are going to the left side, we say, okay? Just check that you have enough cabling, then we can put inside with a problem. Then we have, with the main board, we will see that the cables here of the motors are on the left. The line following sensor connects also in the second port, and the ultrasonic sensor connects to the third port. So the ultrasonic to the third, so it goes to the right, and we can put like this, for example, until we put the main board, and the following line sensor, it goes to the left. And this way now we can put the main board. So we take the main board to check that it's in the right side, in the right position. Just you can follow, for example, whichever side. The USB connector is on the right side. Okay, so the USB connector is on the right side. Now we take 4 more screws here, and we fix with the Allen side part of the screwdriver the main board. It ties with the spacers we put before. In this way, we don't tie yet because we still have to put 3 more screws, so don't tie till yet the screws. Just adjust them a bit so the board doesn't move anymore, and finish to put all the screws, not until the end, just enough that they are still in their position, and then we can, when all of them are in position, we tie them in diagonal, because in this way we see that the board is fixed and all the screws are well tightened. Now we have to connect the different parts. We start, for example, with the motors. As I told you, don't care if you put one in the other position, it doesn't matter. You can only put like this, in this way, that the small part side of the connector is to down. If you try to put in the other way, it cannot fit. I mean, you can try and you will do it if you make a lot of strength, but then you will break it. So it should enter very easily, very gently, and then we have one motor connected. Now we connect the other motor, and then it's fine. We now connect the sensor for following line that it gets from the button, and it goes, as we see in the diagram, goes to the second port. So it's here, and we listen the click. There is only one way to connect it. We can put now the cables inside, but it's not needed, gently. So in this way it looks nicer and also doesn't disturb the wheel. We also connect the other connector for the ultrasound sensor on the port 3, as it says in the diagram. Now we have mounted already the main board and the main elements. What we have to do, for example, now is, if you have in your kit the 2.4 GHz communications module, you can connect now. You just have to check that the board has a connector with 4 pins here at the middle and 3 pins here at the end. So we just have to check where are the 4 and the 3, so we just have to put it here, press gently, and it fits, and then it's connected. And finally we just have to put the batteries. I told you don't need to put the Velcro. If you want, you can do it, but for me it's enough like this because it's quite tight here. Just be careful with the cables. If you cannot fit like myself right now, you just have to move a bit the cable that is disturbing, and then you just insert the battery, and that's it. And now we put the rest of the cable inside between the batteries and the main board. As you see, the board and the battery, they doesn't touch. Just as a measure of safety, because it's metal here a bit, it's plastic but it could be metal, you can turn away, put the plastic, that in case that it touch plastic to the board, just in case. I mean, it's not very useful, but in this way you avoid any short circuit. And now you connect here. If the battery has power, it will connect and you will see light. Okay, and then the robot is connected and ready to upload the programs that we'll see in next videos.